Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Babel on Talmud. Today we are studying Daf Ayin Vav 76 of Masechta Shabbos. One of the notable things, there are two notable things about this Daf. One is that we are going to encounter 3 different Mishnayos in one Daf. Another notable thing is that we are concluding the 7th parak and beginning the 8th parak. So that's exciting, right? Okay, so what are we talking about? Okay, the first Mishnah we're going to encounter is about taking out animal food on Shabbos. The second Mishnah we're going to encounter is about taking out human food on Shabbos. And then the third Mishnah we're going to encounter is talking about taking out different kinds of liquids on Shabbos. So I hope I just whet your appetite a little bit. Let's get started. So we're going to start on Daf Ayin Hey Amud Beis all the way at the very bottom. So our Mishnah had said yesterday that anything that you do not normally stash away, or even if it is something that you do normally stash away, however, you have not stashed away, but it's not enough that you would normally care to put away. So in either of those cases, you would not be chayiv to, if you take that out to Rosh Hashanah, unless you actually stashed it away, right? Right? So if, I don't know, what I was just like thinking of a random example of like, I don't know, let's just say I have like a cup of dirt, right? So a cup of dirt is not something that anybody would like think to put away. So, however, if I do for whatever reason care to put away that cup of dirt, so then if I then take it out to Rosh Hashanah, I would be chayiv. However, anybody else who would take this cup of dirt that I put away and went out to Rosh Hashanah with it would not be chayiv for taking it out. So, says the Gemara, already at the very top of Ayin Vav Amud Aleph, Amar Rabbi Elazar, says Rabbi Elazar, no, which Rabbi Elazar, who could tell me? Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua. Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua, I believe. Anyway, so he says, Hadilo Reb Shimon ben Elazar. So this Mishnah must not be like Reb Shimon ben Elazar. Why? Titania, as we learn in the Brisa, Klal Amar Reb Shimon ben Elazar, the Reb Shimon ben Elazar said the following rule: Kol she'einu kosher la'atzniya. Okay, so anything that you don't normally put away. Okay, ve'ein matzniyan kamo, or something that you normally would put away, but it is in a quantity that you would not generally care enough to put away. V'huchshar lazet. However, for this certain fellow, he felt that he wants to put it away. V'itznio. So he put it away. Uva'achar ve'otzio. And then somebody else came along and took it out to Rosh Hashanah. Nischayev zeh b'machshava shel zeh. So then this guy who took this, item that his friend had put away, right? So let's say our cup of dirt example, right? So Reuven, for whatever reason, wanted to put away this cup of dirt, and then Shimon then took it out. So whereas our Mishnah said that Shimon would be pater, Reb Shimon ben Elazar says that Shimon would be chayiv for taking out this cup of dirt, since for whatever reason Reuven felt the need to put it away. Okay, I'm wearing this sorry, I'm like a little distracted for the last minute because I'm wearing this t-shirt for the first time, I think probably since I was traveling in Southeast Asia, and there's like the kind of like a smell of like detergent on it or something, and it reminded me of those laundromats where they would do your laundry for you over there. They would use very strong detergent, but then I was thinking, wait, it's possible that I've already actually washed this shirt since I've been back from there, so I don't know, it's hard to tell. So sorry, my mind wandered a little bit there, but I think we got the Gemara, right? I think we did. New Mishnah. Hamotzi teven kimlo pi fara. So somebody who takes out, okay, so this is an interesting Mishnah if you're interested in this kind of stuff. So we're talking about the amounts of animal food that you'd be chayiv for taking out. So let's look at it inside. Hamotzi teven kimlo pi para. Okay, so now a cow eats teven. I think it was, what did we say? This was like processed straw, some kind of processed straw. Okay, So this teven, okay, so this teven is cow food. So if you take out enough teven to be able to fill up the mouth of a cow, so then you'll be chayiv for taking out that teven. Eitzah, now we don't know what eitzah is yet, but kimlo pi gamel, okay, so camel food is eitzah. This eitzah is camel food. So in order to be chayiv for taking out camel food on Shabbos, so you have to take out enough to fill up the mouth of a camel. Amir, if you use, I think this is just like regular straw, so kimlo pi tale, so then you would have to take out enough amir to fill up the mouth of a sheep, or a lamb, I guess. Asavim kimlo pi gedi, okay, you have to take out enough grass to fill up the mouth of a little goat, of a kid. Just in terms of sizes over here, so the largest amount will be the mouth of the camel, followed by the mouth of the cow, followed by the mouth of a lamb, which is also the size of a dried fig, okay? And lastly, the mouth of a kid, okay? And this is going to be relevant in the Gemara. Now, ale shum v'ale bitzalim, if you were talking about taking out on Shabbos leaves from garlic or leaves from onions, so lachim, if they are moist, kigrogeris, well then the amount to take out would be a fig's worth. I think because, as Rashi says, that they are fit for human consumption. So of course, the shear for human consumption when it comes to Melech Shabbos, as we have learned, is the size of a dried fig. Yeveshim, however, if these items are dry, well then it would be food for a kid. So kimlo pi gedi, it would be the size of the mouth of a kid, of a goat. And the Gemara says that these different quantities do not mix because they are different amounts. So like, let's say teven for a cow, which we said is kimlo pi fara, whereas like eitzah, which is kimlo pi gamel, you wouldn't mix those because they're different amounts. And the Gemara is going to kind of explain that a little bit. Says the Gemara, my eitzah, what is this eitzah? So Amar Rav Yehuda Teven Shalmine Kitnis. Rav Yehuda says that eitzah is some kind of straw that comes from different kinds of legumes. Okay, and that was camel food. Next, Kiasa Rav Dimi. So now, when Rav Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, Amar, he said, Hamotzi Teven Kimlo Pifara Ligamo. Oh, so what if somebody takes out enough teven to fill the mouth of a cow, which we said in our Mishnah would be the proper shear for taking out teven, right? Enough to fill up the mouth of a cow, and you would be chayiv for that. But there is a detail over here, an important detail. And that detail is that you're not bringing out this teven for a cow. You're bringing out this teven for a camel. Now, a camel's mouth is larger than a cow's mouth. Okay, so even though you are bringing out enough of a shear for a cow, but you're not bringing it out for a cow. You're bringing out for a camel. So does the fact that you're bringing out for a camel who requires more of this teven, would that make you patur because it's not enough for the camel that you're bringing it out for? Or would we say that you would nonetheless be chayiv because after all, the shear for teven is enough to fill the mouth of a cow? So this is our question, okay? So again, Kiasa Rav Dimi, when Rav Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, Amar, he said, Hamotzi teven kimlo pifar legamal. If somebody takes out enough straw to fill up the mouth of a cow, however, he's not taking it out for a cow, he's taking it out for a camel who requires more. So Rabbi Yochanan Amar Chayiv, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish Amar Pater. So Rabbi Yochanan says you would be chayiv because after all, you're taking out enough to fill up the mouth of a cow, and we said in the Mishnah that that's chayiv. Whereas Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says that you can be patur because even though it's enough to fill up the mouth of a cow, it's not enough to fill up the mouth of the camel that you're bringing it out for. Be'orta am Rabbi Yochanan hachi litzafra haderbe. So Rabbi Yochanan had said his opinion of chayav at night, and already by the morning he had changed his mind to agree with Rish Lakish to say patur. Okay. Amr Rav Yosef Shapir Avad Dehadar. Rav Yosef was, totally agreed with Rabbi Yochanan's decision to change his mind in the morning to hold like Reish Lakish. How come? So Rabbi Yosef says it makes sense that Rabbi Yochanan changed his mind to say that it would be potter when you bring out enough teven for a cow, but you're bringing it out for a camel, so it wouldn't be enough for a camel. So it makes sense to say that you'd be potter, because after all, you are not bringing out enough teven for the camel that you're bringing it out for, and therefore you'd be potter. Amalei Abaye Adraba Kidmei Kara Mistavra. Abaye says to Rav Yosef, actually, I disagree with you. It would make sense to say, like Rabbi Yochanan's original opinion, to say that you would be chayav for taking out enough teven for a cow, even though it's for a camel who requires more. Because at the end of the day, it's enough for a cow. Sure, in this case, you're bringing it out for a camel, but in terms of, if it's enough, if it's a proper shear that you'd be chayiv for on Shabbos, the Mishnah says, if you bring out enough straw for a cow, you're chayiv. I don't care if it's for a camel. So Ella, Kyasa Ravin, Amar. So rather, when Ravin came, he said, Hamotzi tevin kimlo pifar legamal, tuchuli amalo pligi dechayev. So when Ravin came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, he said, okay, like Abaye, that if somebody takes out enough teven to fill up the mouth of a cow, but he's bringing it out for a camel, and it wouldn't be enough to fill up the mouth of a camel, doesn't matter. You will still be chayiv because it's enough for a cow. Ki plige b'motzi eitza kimlo pifara lefara. What if you bring out enough eitza, which we said was the straw from legumes, enough to fill up the mouth of a cow, and you're bringing it for a cow. Now, these eitza is the food for a camel. Okay. Now, a camel has the largest sized mouth. So we said that in order to be chayav for bringing out this eitza on Shabbos, you'd have to bring out enough to fill up the mouth of a camel. Now, cows don't usually eat this eitza. Okay. Now, for whatever reason, you're bringing out this eitza for this cow to eat, okay? And you brought enough to fill up its mouth. The question is, would the fact that, even though you don't normally feed this eitza to a cow, but the fact of the matter is that right now you are feeding it to the cow, and generally you would require more of this eitza because the camel has a bigger mouth. Do we say, well, the fact of the matter is, you're feeding it right now to a cow, you brought out enough to fill up the cow's mouth, would you be chayiv for that? So v'ipcha itmar, and in this case, Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish actually flip around. Whereas in the first case, Rabbi Yochanan said chayiv and Reish Lakish said potter. In this case, Rabbi Yochanan amar potter, Reish Lakish amar chayiv. So here Rabbi Yochanan says potter, Reish Lakish says chayiv. How come? Rabbi Yochanan amar potter, achila ide adchak lo shma achila. Rabbi Yochanan says that you're going to be potter for taking out enough, when you take out enough eitza to fill up the mouth of a cow, you are going to be potter because, cows don't usually eat eitza. They usually eat teven, okay? And therefore, if you bring out enough eitza for a cow, so it's only achila ayidei adchak. It's only eats it when it's forced to eat it, and that's not really considered achila, and we don't consider it therefore it's significant enough to consider it carrying on Shabbos. Okay. Whereas Reish Lakish amar chayav achila ayidei adchak shma achila. Reish Lakish says that you're going to be chayav for this because even though generally cows would not eat this eitza, however, if for whatever reason the cow needs to eat eitza right now, so it's considered achila, and if this is the proper amount that it eats, you're going to be able to bring enough to fill up the mouth of the cow, so you're going to be chayiv for that. Okay, very exciting. Amir kimlo pitale. So we said that if you bring out enough of this amir, which is this regular straw, enough to fill up the mouth of a lamb, so then you are chayiv. V'atani ki grogeres. But 1 second, we have a brisa which says that you'll be chayiv if you bring out enough straw to fill enough straw that's the size of a dried fig. So idi v'idi chad shiurahu. The Gemara answers, yeah, that's because the size of a lamb's mouth and the size of a dried fig are the same. Okay, the Mishnah said, ale shum va'ale b'tzalim, that when it comes to leaves of garlic and leaves of onions, lachim kigrogeres viveshim kimlo piagdi. Fine, so we said if it's moist, so then the shear will be the size of a dried fig. If they are dry, the shear will be the size of the mouth of a kid. And then we said that these different amounts do not join together because they have different sizes. So let's see what this means. So Amar Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. So said Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina, in mitztarfin lechamur shebahen, aval mitztarfin lekal shebahen. Oh. So Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina said that they don't join for more stringent shiurim, but they join for more lenient shiurim. What does that mean? It means like this. First of all, let's be clear. What is the most lenient opinion here? That is the eitzah for the camel, right? Because you're only chayav for taking out eitzah for the camel if you take out enough to fill up the mouth of a camel, which is the largest mouth over here, okay? So essentially, you're only chayav for taking out eitzah if you bring out enough to fill up the mouth of a camel. The most stringent opinion over here will be the grass for feeding a baby goat, a kid, a gedi, okay? Because once already you bring out enough grass that can fill up the mouth of a gedi, you're going to be chayav, and that's a much smaller amount, okay? So that's more stringent. Now, what we're saying is that you can't mix and match for the more stringent opinions, and therefore, so when we say that you need just enough grass to fill up the mouth of a gedi, well, let's say you have 50% grass and 50% eitzah. Now, remember, to be chayav for taking out eitzah, you have to bring out a lot of it, which means that it's basically a more lenient item. So if you have, let's say, half of the mouth of a gedi of grass, but then the other half is this more lenient item, which is eitzah, so then, the two halves of the mouth of a gedi won't add up to the equivalent of a full mouth of a gedi's worth of grass, and you'll be patur. However, what if you had, a whole bunch of eitzah, which is a more lenient item, but it's just short of filling up the mouth of a camel. And then you fill in the rest with grass, which is a more stringent item, which you only need the size of a gedi in order to be chayav. So in that case, the grass would be able to complete the eitzah to fill up the mouth of a camel, and you would be chayav for that. And that's what Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina is saying. You can't mix and match when it comes to more stringent shiurim. So for example, if you have half of the mouth of a gedi of grass and half of the mouth of a gedi of eitzah, that wouldn't join together to be chayav. But they can be mitzdarf for more makil ones. So for example, if you have almost a full mouth of a camel worth of eitzah, and you just complete the shear with some grass, you would be chayav for that. Now, but 1 second. When we have different size requirements, different amount requirements, can you just mix and match like that? But we learn in the Mishnah, habeged shlosha al shlosha. Everyone's favorite topic, I'm sure. Tumas bigadim, tumas midras, right? So we say that garments, in order to be makabel tumah, remember they have to be, there was a question about 3 fingers by 3 fingers, or 3 tefachim by 3 tefachim. So we're saying over here that if you have beged, some kind of fabric, it would be able to be makabel tumas midras, right? Midras, of course, being, as we know already, if a zav sits on something, so whatever he sits on becomes a avatuma. A garment that is 3 tefachim by 3 tefachim, v'asak, like some kind of sackcloth, which is made out of goat hairs. So arba'a al arba'a, the shear would have to be 4 tefachim by 4 tefachim. Ve'aor chamisha al chamisha, hides would have to be 5 tefachim by 5 tefachim. Ve'asak, mapats shisha al shisha, and some kind of fabric, I guess, made out of reeds would have to be 6 tefachim by 6 tefachim. Vitani Allah, and we taught about it. Habeged ve'asak garments and sackcloth, asak v'haor, these sackcloth and hides, haor v'amapatz, hides and these reeds, mitzdarfen zeh im zeh, they can join together. The Amr Reb Shimon Matam, and Reb Shimon says, how come these different sizes can join together? Because they are able to become tamei moshav, meaning, Rashi explains, for example, if you'd have, let's say, a saddle for a donkey, and there was a hole in the fabric of the saddle, and you needed to make a patch for that hole, so you might take some, let's say, some beged and some sock, and you'll join them together to make this patch, okay? And because we join them together, that's why their shiurim can be mitzdarif. The point, right, and the Gemara says, Taima deru'in litami moshav, aval ein roi litami moshav lo. However, right, so we're saying that they can only come together because because they come together sometimes. If you have a hole in a saddle of a donkey and you want to patch it together, so you'll take a shtickle beged, a shtickle sock, and you will join them together and make your patch. Which is not the case, however, with food. I don't know. You're not going to take some grass and some straw and put them together for whatever reason. And the Gemara wants to argue, for that reason, I would think, is that since they don't come together, you shouldn't be able to join their respective measures together. So Amarava, Hachinami, Chazi Ledugma. So Rava says, actually, when it comes to these different animal foods, sometimes you would connect them together. When would you connect them together? The dugma. If you have a person who sells animal food and he wants to show what he has available, so he'll put out some of the grass, some of the different straws, etc. And he'll be nervous because he doesn't want the wind to blow them away, so he'll actually tie them together. So we do see actually that these animal foods also are combined together sometimes, and therefore you can mix and match the shiurim, assuming that sort of the more lenient shiurim like Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. New Mishnah, friends. Hamotzi ochlim ki gogeres chayev. Somebody who takes out food the size of a dried fig is going to be chayev for otzah on Shabbos. Of course, because right, malacha with food on Shabbos is the size of a dried fig. Umitzdarfen zeh im zeh, and different kinds of foods can join together to create the size of a dried fig. B'pnei she'shavu b'shiurein, because all of their sizes are the same. They're all the size of a dried fig. So, if you take out a little bit of this food, a little bit of that food, you can join together to make the dried fig, because both of the separate foods have the same size of a dried fig, meaning it's going to be the same shear that you're going to be chayav for, so you can mix and match. Chutz mikli pasan. Now we do not take into account their shells, v'garinein, their pits, v'uktein, and they're like an apple. I don't know what it's called, but like in the apple, like at the top where there's that little thing where they clipped it off from the tree. So that's the oketz. V'suban umursanan, and they're coarse bran and fine bran. Rabbi Yehuda Omer chutz miklipe adashin shemizbash lo shimayin. Now, Rabbi Yehuda says, however, this thing about like shells not being included, that doesn't apply. That doesn't apply to the shells of lentils, because you cook the lentils, I guess, just the whole lentil with whatever outside covering there is. So that would be considered part of the shear of the dried fig. Visuban umorsanan lo mitzdarfen. Really, the coarse bran and the fine bran don't join together to create the shiur of the dried fig. V'atnan, we learn in a Mishnah, chameshes rivaim kemach ve'od. If you have 4 lugim of flour, because as we've learned in the past, there are 4 logs in a kav. So a reva is a log. So 5 logs, ve'od, and a little more, chayav b'chala, would have an obligation to separate the chala tithe. Hein v'suban umorsanan. Not just, included in these 4 logs would also be the flour with its coarse bran and its fine bran. So we do see that Subin and Morsin are included in the shear for challah. So why shouldn't they be included in the shear for hotzah on Shabbos? So Abai says, well, because a poor person will eat coarser bread that has this bran in it. and therefore that's why it's chayiv in challah. However, at the same time, you wouldn't be chayiv for otzah on Shabbos because, I guess it wouldn't normally, I guess most people wouldn't necessarily want to eat their bread with this bran, so therefore in terms of otzah, it wouldn't be chayiv, but in terms of do people make bread with bran? Yes, they do, therefore we'll include it in challah. Fine. So if we look at Rashi, in Rashi Dibra Maschil Belusa, it's the first Rashi on the Gemara. So it says about 2 lines. So whatever. So it says Me'oreves besubana uvmorsana, right? So if you so poor people will eat bread that has bran in it. Hilkach lechem haaretz karinan be. Therefore we call it the bread of the land. Umiu, however, in Shabbos, when it comes to Shabbos, midi de chashiv ba'inan. We need something important, significant. Vistamayu dehani lav ochanenu. And the default sort of status of these of like bran is sort of not to be considered ochel and chashuv. Therefore, on Shabbos you won't be chayiv for taking them out. But in terms of challah, people at the end of the day do eat bread that has bran in it. Rabbi Yehuda Omer chutz miklipi adashim amizbashlos imoed. Rabbi Yehuda says now. These, when we say that the shells are not included in the dried fig shi'ur, so that does not apply to the shells of lentils. I guess whatever the outside casings of lentils, because you cook them with the lentils. Adashim in pulin lo. 1 second. This only applies to lentils. What about beans? Shouldn't, I would think that the outside of the beans also would be considered part of the shi'ur of a dried fig when we're talking about beans. That on both beans and on lentils the shell would be included, the encasing would be included. So lo kasha abachadate abatike. So it's no problem. It depends if they're new or if they're old, right? Sort of fresher lentils, we would include the outside in the shear of the grogeris, but older ones we would not. Atike matamelo. How come we wouldn't include the outside of the lentils of the beans? Actually, I don't know if I just said lentils, but we're talking about beans here, right? Because we said that with the lentils, the outside encasing is included, but we didn't include beans in the Mishnah. But we have brisa which includes beans, and we said that when they are younger, so then we include the outside of the beans in their shear. When they're older, we don't. How come we don't include them? So Amar Biabo Mipnei Shenirin Kizvuvin Bekaira. The answer is because the older beans, so the encasings get black and they look like bugs, like flies in the dish. So therefore, people want to remove them, and therefore we do not count them in the shear of Ochlin. Hajan alach klal gadol. We shall return to you eventually. Klal gadol. That's exciting. New parak. Hamotzi yain k'dei mizigas hakos. Somebody takes out on Shabbos enough wine for mizigas hakos. What does this mean? So, I wish I kind of knew a little bit more about what it means. Maybe I could find out somehow. But, of course, back in the day, they used to have some kind of a concentrated wine, okay? So we, of course, just buy a bottle of wine and drink it. They would have some kind of a wine concentrate, and they would put some of this concentrate in a cup. They would then add water, mix it together, and that would be their wine. So we're saying that whatever quantity of this concentrate you would generally put in your cup and then add water to it. So if you take out that amount of concentrate, you are going to be chayiv for otzah on Shabbos. Chalav k'dei gemia, so milk, enough that you would drink. Dvash k'dei litein ala kosis. If you take out enough honey to put on, so Rashi gives 2 options. They're both some kind of wound. So either like the wound of a donkey or a camel, from like that it generates from like carrying those heavy loads. The other option is just some kind of wound on your hand or your foot. But I guess you would put honey on it. Interesting. Shemen k'dei lasuch ever cotton. Enough oil to put on some kind of small limb of yours. Okay. Mayim k'dei lashuv bohem esakilor. If you take out enough water to put on like some kind of eye patch. Okay. Wait, why do I think it's an eye patch? Maybe it's just any kind of bandage. Oh yeah, maybe it's not an eye patch. I don't know why I thought it was an eye patch. No, so I guess just any kind of bandage. Okay, fine. Oh no, Rashi says here on the Mishnah, kilo shenosna ala ayin. Yeah, so some kind of patch that you put on your eye. So enough water to put on that patch. Okay. Ushar kol amashkin birvias. Now all the other kinds of mashkin, I don't know. For example, I mean, right. There are 4 kinds of mashkin. Not 4. There are 7. Right. Right. Yad shachat dam. So there's yud is yayin, dalad is dvash, is honey. So we mentioned both of those. Shachat shin is shemen, so oil. We didn't mention oil, right? Mem is oh no, mayim, water, which we mentioned, enough to put on the eye patch. Okay. But why did I say mem? No, we got it to chet. Chet is chometz, which is vinegar, right? And then I don't even know, right? Exactly. And then tes is tal, right? And then dam, so the dalet is dvash. I feel like I said everything out of order. But basically, our Mishnah mentioned, I think, 4 of them, right? We mentioned wine, we mentioned honey, we mentioned milk. Oh, ches. Oh, why did I say chometz? It's chalav. Wow, I really screwed this one up. But basically, our Mishnah mentioned wine, it mentioned milk, it mentioned honey, and it mentioned, it did mention oil. And it mentioned water. Because the only ones that it forgot, that it left out, was dew and blood. Well, those both are going to be a revius, as Rashi says. Right? So today, so shakval mashkin, the other liquids, revius. Those would be a revius. V'chol ashofchen, and then if you have like putrid water, that would also be revius. Okay? Reb Shimon Omer kulan revius. Reb Shimon says that they're actually all a revius. Right? Forget about enough like water to put on an eye patch. No, everything's a revius, which means, as Rashi points out, a revius of a log. Okay, fine. Now, then the Mishnah says, I believe also quoting Reb Shimon, kol shiurin alalu v'lo nemru kol shiurin alalu el matzni'ein. Now, all of these shiurim that we're saying, like let's say, I don't know, enough wine to take out from mizikas hakos, that is only for the person who actually puts it away. Right? So we're saying that if for whatever reason I want to put away, enough wine, if I want to put away wine, so we're saying the minimum amount to put away is going to be enough that you would put in your cup and then add water to it. However, if my friend takes it out, so forget it. He would be potter. Right? If somebody else takes it out, then they would be potter. But if the person himself takes it out, he would be chayiv. And we're saying, for him, what are the minimum shiurs? So these are the minimum shiur. And Shimon is saying that, according to his assessment, that would be a revius for all of the different liquids. Okay, well, that was Daf Ayin Vav of Masechta Shabbos. So, just to recap, so the Mishnah started out with taking out animal foods on Shabbos. And the Gemara started out by saying that if somebody takes out enough straw meaning enough straw that would generally be for a cow, to fill up the mouth of a cow, but he's taking it up for a camel, which would require more straw. So everyone says there that would be chayiv. However, if you take out enough eitzah for a cow, so now eitzah is generally what you would feed to a camel, so you would generally have to take out more of it, but you're feeding it to a cow in this case. Now, you don't generally feed eitzah to a cow, but for whatever reason you are, and it's enough to fill the mouth of a cow. So Rabbi Yochanan says that you're going to be potter because achila ayidei adchak is not, right, lo shmei achila is not considered achila, therefore you're going to be potter. Whereas Shlakish says you're going to be chayiv because he says achila ayidei adchak is considered achila. Okay? And that Mishnah had also said that you cannot combine these different amounts of animal foods. And then the Gemara ultimately said that is only when it comes to the more stringent amounts. But when it comes to more lenient amounts, then you can combine them. Okay? We got to a new Mishnah that taught us that when it comes to taking food out on Shabbos, the minimum size would be a dried fig. And then we started a new perek talking about taking out different liquids on Shabbos. Well, that was Daf Ayin Vav of Masechta Shabbos. I hope everybody enjoyed. Have a great day.